that we have imported the project into STS and we have the basic server-side coding done and basic client-side coding done, let's go ahead and configure our project to talk to the SCM, the Artifactory, so that we can actually release the code to the snapshot and the releases repository. So I have done some initial legwork, and the three things that we need to add to the POM XML is the distribution management, the SCM, and the plugin. So the distribution management basically is telling Maven that these are the repositories where I want to push my code. The default repository is the releases local, and then for the snapshot, it is the snapshot local. And then the SCM basically tells Maven that I want to be able to connect to this source code management. So in our case, it's GitHub, and we have the username and the Git repository where we'll be connecting. And when we tag it, we're going to tag the head version of the code. And the last thing that we'll be adding is a plugin that will facilitate in releasing of the code to the releases repository. So it's going to do multiple things. It's going to prepare the release, it's going to do the cleanup, it's going to prepare, and it's going to perform the release. So there will be additional links in the course that will talk a bit more about what the release plugin does. But basically it will go through the phase of cleaning up the package. It will prepare the release so that it will update the versions within the POM XML. It will push the code, it will tag the code, and push the code to Git and increment the version for the next development cycle. So that's in a nutshell what the release plugin does. So let's go ahead and actually copy all three of these, and I'm going to head over to my STS. And I actually already had some of this earlier on, but let me go ahead and clean those. Okay, so I copied, let's copy the three things. So distribution management, and for the plugin needs to be within the plugin section, right? So I'm going down here, and let's actually take care of the formatting of the code. Okay, so I have my distribution management. I want to actually move this below my properties so that it's actually cleaner, and before I have my dependencies. So we already looked at the release, we already looked at the SCM, and if you now go to the overview section, you should see the SCM configuration. And obviously we're not doing continuous integration to Jira or any of those at this point, but it's got the SCM and it's got the distribution management, and we have the Maven release plugin. So let's go back, and here my Artifactory is still running, and if you have forgotten on how to start and stop Artifactory, so you can Control C, and I'm within the bin directory. All I need to do is Artifactory start. So once this is up and running, we'll try to run the Maven deploy command from command line or from the terminal so that we can actually see the steps that Maven will take to push the code to the Artifactory. So we kind of have already set up the settings. I believe we have gone through that exercise earlier on. So let's head over to another terminal. I'm going to clear everything from here and take a look at my changes. So I do have some commits, and let's take a look at the commits. So it's the changes that we just made to add the elements to the POM XML. And let's go ahead and clear this out. I'm going to do the commit, and I'm going to say updated with SCM and dist repo. Right, so I've committed the code. I'm still committing this locally, so it's not been pushed. But let's go ahead and do the Maven clean package and deploy. Right. So what would Maven do? First, it would clean the target directory. It will run the test. We'll do the packaging, do it as a var, which is what we define in the POM XML, and it's going to deploy the code to the distribution repository that's been defined. So how does it actually talk to Artifactory? So remember, we actually, let me go ahead and go to the .m2. So remember, we actually created the Maven settings earlier on in the initial course, and we have the settings.xml, which has the repositories defined, and it's defined the servers as well and the credentials for the servers. So remember, we created the encrypted master password, which is within the settings security, and then we have the settings.xml, which has the profile and the servers and the repository. So let's go ahead and run this to make sure that our Maven settings are good and Maven is able to read from the settings XML and push the code to Artifactory. So right now it's running the test, making sure all the tests pass, and it's actually uploading to Artifactory. So we're done, right? So it downloaded from Artifactory and it pushed my var that just got built to the libs snapshot local, and it finished the build. So how do I verify within Artifactory whether it actually pushed? So I go to libs snapshot local, this timed out, or I think we actually restarted, right? So if I go in here, actually I can go to the admin local, go back in here, admin local. Let's, I think I'm in the wrong place. So I go in here and it's still asking me for Maven settings, but all I want to do is look at the repository that just got installed, right? So am I logged in, which I am, and let's take a look at refreshing the last deployed build. Click the wrong one, and users, home, actually it's within artifacts. If I click on artifacts and I go to snapshot local, and I see my var being deployed here. Sorry, I had to get used to the Artifactory. I think I was looking at the wrong place. But if you notice here that the DevOps code has been deployed to Artifactory. So this is how you can achieve the automated deployment as part of your build. And we'll see how to actually set that up within Jenkins for the two profiles of snapshot and releases. So if you click on this, it should go to, right now we want to actually go to lib snapshot local, and if you navigate to here, you should see your code being built and the snapshot version being built out here.